Welcome everyone. This is the Livestock Market Wrap Up. It's December 16th and wow, what a last couple of weeks we've seen in the markets. I've got Daryl Holiday from Country Futures out of Frankfort, Kansas. And Daryl, I got to show you we've got some cattle that sold today. Just these first calf bred heifers out of Chugwater, Wyoming, sold for $3,360. Going down into Kansas, had a fight on our hands from between some guys in Kansas, Nebraska on these heifers. And we're kind of seeing that all over the country. These females, even the first calf heifers that have been $200-300 under the second calvers, they've taken a big jump. We had pairs that sold in Nebraska this last week for $4,290. That was $300 over our highs the week before. And today at Lamar, Colorado, out of some really rough country, we had some old, mature 10, 11-year-old red Angus cows coming from a great reputation outfit, sold for 2110 to 2120. And that's like $700-800 over last year's market. So it's exciting. It's exciting times. Daryl, what do you think? Can this continue to go on?
Well, I think we've now moved into the euphoric side of this bull market. We've talked along the way about how the numbers were going to drop off. They have. We've
Mhm.
talked about how good demand for beef is. That's another side of it. It is. And just on a sidebar, if people haven't tagged into I put in my newsletter today that look at the earnings out of Costco. Costco being the food store that their earnings were out last week. It was interesting to read the comments, and there's lots of stuff you wouldn't be interested in. But what should have caught the eye of somebody in the beef or pork business would be how their chief financial officer is now pointing out that the consumers made a dramatic shift to buying more beef, pork, and produce from from the retail level, whether it be Costco or all the others. It doesn't. You don't have to pick just Costco. They're
Yeah.
buying it there and they're backing off the restaurant, and it's very obvious. And just so I've tried to point this out many times, that is good news for the beef sector because people buy more volume at the retail level. We don't care. Terrible to say this, we don't care if they take it home, freeze it, and never eat it. Although we do. I mean, but my point is, they're
Sure.
buying it, and they get more volume to the restaurant, so the demand side's really quite good, and I think the prospects are very good. But we're now into the numbers side of things, and we're starting to see these females go up in price uh, because the cows aren't there. We liquidated so many cows, and now
Mhm.
we're looking at those high dollars for calves, and people wanting to find a way to get it. And you couple that with the feed that we've talked about, feed all over this country, even a dry area in the southeast part of the United States. I think you noted one of some of these cattle were going to Tennessee. I can tell you 6 months ago they wouldn't have gone to Tennessee. They were too dry. Now they've got moisture, got more on the way. Those things all add to the momentum you're seeing.
Right, right. Very good. I did thought I'd share this with you on the cash feeder cattle reports from the USDA this last week came out this afternoon. Western trade was a little lower. Colorado was actually, I bolded Colorado. They were 2 to 8 higher. Wyoming was 3 to 6 lower, in a range of 350 to 370. Still great trade. In the northern trade, South Dakota was higher again, with a lot of good numbers, ranging from 350 to 380. Nebraska was actually steady to down $3 to $4. What I found in Kansas this afternoon was steady to one to four lower, with the really at the top end of that 360 to 365 in Kansas on a 5 weight, and more the 340 345 northern Oklahoma, Missouri. But so a little back off there. I also noticed we closed again 2 3 days in a row now on the January feeder calf market is down. Are we going to maybe slowing down and trending lower into the holidays, Daryl, or what's your thoughts there?
Oh, I think we're going through a couple of things. One, we've had the big momentum up, and this is what the futures have done. They've stayed at a discount. I think when we close today, you're sitting there basically at a $5 discount, $5.50 discount to the cash index, which is over 261. That index is going to stay right in. Now, once again, that'd be for 7 to 9 weight steers. But
Mhm.
the cash momentum in the cattle market is still very solid. I just before we came on here, the beef was lower at midday, down 60 cents, but turned around was up 80 to 90 here on the close. So a lot of things going on, a lot of emotions. Packers really needed cattle for this week. They've needed in the last couple of weeks. They're still going to need cattle, but we just have to remind ourselves that next week and the week after, there'll be one less slaughter day in the mix. And that kind of lessens their demand. It'll probably support the beef value as a whole because less supplies. But we're just, yeah, I think as a way we're seeing a little bit of seasonal choppiness here. But
Mhm.
this is the way the market's going to work. We're going to see these unexplained back off concerns that everybody concerned because we're very high prices. We're
Yeah.
very, very high prices. And to some extent, we may have hit kind of got people's belly full of all the cattle, people that needed cattle for wheat, people that needed cattle for something else to meet all these feed needs because they got all this feed. And I think we filled their belly just a little bit, pulled a lot of calves forward. You and I've talked about that. We pulled a lot of
Yeah.
calves forward from what would have been there in January, bringing them now, and that kind of pressures the calf market a little bit. But when we get to January, I think we'll wake up in about 8th, 10th, 9th, 12th, 15th of January. Wow, what happened to cattle that should be here? Well, you got them in December, and I think that's where the market's still, I think, very solid on the feeder side. A price from 254 to 262 for the next 30 days. I just do not see much downside from that 254 area, and probably could be considered a buying opportunity for those feedlots that are or people who are looking to buy some feeders and get those prices protected. This weakness to me would be a good chance to cover some of that before they have to buy them in the first couple of weeks of January.
Right. One quick thing before I let you go. Some conversation on Friday. That cash feeder cattle index was starting to appear like it's going to start crossing the trend line. Will that cause some additional sell-offs and by some of these technical traders?
Yeah, those technical traders tend to watch the futures and the 100-day and the 20-day and 50-day moving average. They don't really tend to spend much time looking at the feeder cattle index. I know it seems
Okay.
weird, but the algo people do. Now the good fundamentalists do, so don't want to discredit that. But
Yeah.
as a rule, they watch the moving averages with the futures prices more than anything. And the funds are not huge traders in the feeder cattle. Way more they
Right.
because they get scared of the volume, but we seasonally tend to peak out here in early January. We've talked about that. That's why we like moving them. But I also will say I don't think that the pressure seasonally in the market will be near as much as you'd normally see because of the just flat the numbers. There's
Numbers, the
a
supply.
lot of cattle going to be moving out of feedlots in the next 30 days, and generally those feedlots tend to like to replace those cattle, and they will find it difficult, but they'll be in buying cattle, especially on any weakness. And once again, we could weaken back a little bit, but we've got some room to give up ground. But I just don't think there's a tremendous downside here as long as this with the demand holds up. I as a whole, and I think we've kind of peaked on our weights. Weather's still going to continue to be good, but I also think there's a good chance of some weather changing and hitting that would hurt the weights a little bit as we get further into January on the fed cattle side.
Right, right. Very good point. You're right. Well, very good, Daryl. Well, I appreciate your time and
Okay.
input. And as always, we look forward to hearing your thoughts on the market trends. And until next week, we'll wish you a great rest of the week here, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you Monday.
All
Thank you.
right. Thanks.